The little girl found anything and everything a source of delight. One night, a portion of the thatched roof blew away in a sudden storm. The inmates took shelter under what remained of the roof. Nirmala clapped her hands and laughed aloud. Mama, we can see the stars from here. The outside and inside have become one. What fun! Nirmala was not very much affected by the heat of summer, the cold climate, or the monsoons. She would dance around in a heavy downpour or play on a sandhill in the scorching sun, quite unmindful of the heat. She was not a prey to childish ailments. Her sunny disposition earned her many nicknames in the village, such as Hasi, Khusirma, and so on. Nirmala had a disconcerting trait of almost literally obeying the bidding of elders. Her family came to a full realization of this after many an aggravating incident. One day, her mother asked her to go and wash an agate cup at the pond. Wishing to draw the child's attention to the fragility of the cup, she said, "See if you can break it also." Nirmala returned after a while, holding carefully the broken pieces of the cup in her small hands. She said that the cup had just dropped. Her mother, trying hard not to laugh, asked why she had brought the pieces back. Nirmala said she had seen the shards being used for treating burns, so perhaps they were still useful. At such incidents, Nirmala never got a reprimand because her innocence was so palpable. One favorite story is about the full stop. While teaching her to read, her mother had pointed out that she should pause at the full stop before beginning another sentence. Sometimes later he was amused and rather appalled to see how Nirmala was following his instructions. If the sentence happened to be long one, she would twist and contort her little body to arrive at the full stop in one gasping breath. As a matter of fact, this trait of abiding by the spoken words or wishes of the people around her was a constant feature of her behavior pattern. It was a wheel drawn over her true khayal. Even people who were supposed to be close to her never penetrated this wheel. The word khayal needs to be explained because it is going to be used very often in this narrative. Sri Ma used this word when others would have said, I wish or I will or it is my desire. She had no wish or will or desires but sometimes a towardness for certain course of action, perhaps dictated by the needs of the people around her. A spontaneous thought which took shape out of the circumstances rather than any spring to action from within. It took considerable time for her family and early devotees to figure out what she meant by this word. That is, if ever at all it has been understood. When Srima Anandamayi was a child, her total egolessness, which led to her ready acquiescence in all things suggested by her elders, was construed to mean a docility and even a little simplicity of the mind. She was sometimes considered to be a little below par because no normal child could be so uniformly joyous and good. Even if people doubted her intelligence, she met with no dearth of love and indulgence. Moreover, her undeviating truthfulness also had to be taken into account. In time, the elders came to rely on her implicitly for her version of any controversial situation because it was noted that she never could be persuaded to undertake anything remotely untoward or unseemly. Perhaps Nirmala herself enjoyed all these puzzlements about her. One day she happened to be carrying a pitcher of water on her hip and watched her shadow on the ground. When she stood in front of her mother, she said, You say I am straight, am I not crooked? Now, there was a private school for children near the village. Nirmala attended the school for a while. She could not go every day because some days she would be helping her mother with the children and sometimes her mother could not find a suitable escort for her. Even so, the teacher always found her keeping up easily with the class, so much so that after a visit by the inspector of school, she and two others regular bright girls of the class were promoted to the lower primary school. This school had a young headmistress. Once when the inspector called, she became nervous when her girls could not answer one of the questions. From outside the window of the classroom, she held up a slate on which she had written the answer. It was Nirmala's turn. She could see the slate plainly, but took no advantage of this maneuver. Such deceptions were quite foreign to her nature. This headmistress visited Srima in later years in Varanasi, where we heard this anecdote from her and various other incidents of Nirmala's very short school career. She never learned to read or write fluently, although at times her handwriting seemed quite set and mature. Nirmala was always very keenly interested in all kinds of religious rites, even in other religions. While they were visiting in Sultanpur, she and her cousin met two Christian nuns who were selling some tracts. Nirmala ran back to her mother for the small coins needed for buying this booklet. In the evening, she was as if irresistibly drawn to their camp outside the village. She stood outside the tent listening to their prayers and then ran back home before she could be missed. Nirmala had many playgrounds in Kyora. There was a big sand heap near their cottage. She could be seen constructing many shapes with the mud. One day she made a big round ball. When asked by her mother as to what it was, she said, "It is Narayan, Lakshmi, Shiva, Parvati, Radha, Krishna, and many other gods as well. Didn't you tell me that all is contained within one and the one is everything?" Moksha Devi was taken aback a little but said mildly, "All right, but come away now and you will get sunstroke." Nirmala immediately broke the carefully constructed mound and followed her mother without a backward glance. The forest provided her with flowers of many colors, which she would gather and arrange in intricate designs. The mother could not but notice that the child's absorption was tinged with a kind of aloofness. She would suddenly abandon everything and walk away with an withdrawn expression on her face. This was true as regards her friends also. She would play with them or by herself without seeming to miss their company. What was really extraordinary about little Nirmala was a sudden change from the ordinary playful child into an extraordinary ethereal being. In the midst of some mundane activity, she would suddenly seem not to be with her playmates or with her elders. Her expression, always serene and beautiful, would be as if shot with an inner luminosity. The best description that people could think of was to say that it was like a play of lightning in the skies. How did they behave with the child after they had seen her as an ethereal being with the spark of divinity in her? The same people hastened to recall her, as it were, to their stratum of life. They would seek to draw her attention toward play and make her talk and laugh in her usual way. When later in life Srima was questioned on these recollections of her family and never, she said, "You are using the words ordinary, extraordinary. To me there is no difference. It is like the blinking of the eye."